Next, I'll be stepping into the role of a data scientist, preparing for my organization to begin using artificial intelligence. Before I can build models or deliver insights, I just need to trust the data that I'm working with. That means understanding its structure, completeness, consistency, and whether it's representative enough to support artificial intelligence use cases. I also need to know that the right governance is in place to use that data responsibly. In this demo, I'll show how I can use the Data Integrity Suite to evaluate the quality of metadata that supports our governance framework. I'll walk through profiling datasets to surface key statistics, review the lineage of my data, identify anomalies, and use semantic tagging to add meaningful context. These insights help me assess whether the data is qualified for AI, whether it reflects the right populations or processes, and whether it's governed in a way that supports responsible use. Let's take a look. So far we've seen how we can build a strong metadata layer with tagging, semantic context, and profiling. The next step is going to be to make that metadata usable across the broader ecosystem. This is especially important when we're evaluating whether data is ready to support AI. The Data Integrity Suite helps me make metadata interoperable, so it can be shared, reused, and extended across systems. This is going to be key for ensuring that the data we're qualifying for AI is not only well documented, but also aligned with external standards and it's accessible to tools and teams that need it. So for instance, I'm going to look at my customer data set here. We talked about how we can add custom tags to metadata assets to classify and organize them in ways that both reflect internal governance policies and external frameworks. We also talked a little bit about how we can use relationships to map to external ontologies, which helps align with third-party models and taxonomies. And we can easily document these in the Data Integrity Suite as well. Now, all of this is also supported by an open API, so metadata can be accessed, updated, or linked programmatically using this. All of this flexibility is going to be really critical when we're qualifying data for AI. It ensures that metadata is not locked into a single system, but instead becomes a shared resource that supports transparency, trust, and responsible AI implementation across the organization. Now that we've explored how metadata can be aligned across systems, the next step is understanding how that metadata supports trust and accountability in our artificial intelligence workflows. As a data scientist, I need to know how data flows through the ecosystem and what might be impacted when something changes. That's going to be really critical for me when I'm qualifying data for artificial intelligence use cases and trying to minimize risk. So let's say that a data observability alert is triggered, something we saw earlier, maybe due to a schema change or a spike in null values. From there, I can go ahead and go into my metadata catalog, find the asset that triggered the alert, and then open up the lineage window here. So for instance, I'm looking at how some of our data moves from SQL into different Tableau reports and also is brought in through Snowflake as well. This is going to give me a clear picture of where my data came from, how it's transformed, and what downstream assets or models might be effective. This context is really going to help me evaluate whether the data is still valid for AI usage and whether or not I need to adjust my models or notify any stakeholders. It's a great way to stay ahead of issues, maintain trust in data, and ensure that the models I build are based off of qualified, well-governed inputs. So now that we've built out a strong metadata layer and added profiling, tagging, and lineage, the next thing I want to show is how we can assess whether that metadata is actually trustworthy. Because at the end of the day, if we're prepping for artificial intelligence use cases, we need to be confident in the quality of the data that we're working with. We've already seen a little bit of how I can use the Data Integrity Suite to evaluate metadata for things like completeness, accuracy, confidence, and custom data quality rules. But I can actually take things one step further with data governance rules and scoring. So I'll just simply name my rule, add a description if I'd like, select the dimension of data governance I'd like it to fall under, and then my target data governance asset, for instance, and then I can add any conditions that I'd like. So data governance scoring of metadata is really unique because it helps quantify the care and context surrounding my data. not just its content, as with data quality rules. This will also surface in our data quality scores in our data catalog, and it helps act as a proxy for data trustworthiness. So as a data engineer, governance scoring of metadata helps me prioritize where to focus cleanup efforts, and it gives me a way to flag potential issues before they impact model performance or decision making, ultimately helping build more trust in our AI outputs. So it's not just about whether the data exists, but it's about whether it's being treated with care. Scored metadata reflects how well it's been curated, classified, and governed, making it a proxy for trustworthiness. The last thing I'll be looking at today is one of the most strategic and quite literally meta items we'll be seeing throughout this demo series. Using artificial intelligence to help us prepare for our data and metadata for AI itself. So here I go into my catalog, I find an asset that is missing a description, and instead of writing it out manually, I just select Generate Description. And then the system instantly creates clear, consistent documentation for me. And I can also do this in bulk when uploading new assets, which saves a ton of time. And because we support a bring your own LLM approach, you can choose the model that fits your governance and compliance needs while keeping full control over privacy, terminology, and tone. It's a really simple feature, but it plays a big role in making sure that my metadata is complete, consistent, and ready to support AI initiatives. So that's how I use metadata to assess whether or not our data is truly ready for AI. From profiling and tagging to lineage, scoring, and AI-assisted documentation, every step helps me build trust in the data and the process behind it. By making metadata complete, consistent, and interoperable, I'm creating a foundation that supports responsible, scalable AI, one that's transparent, governed, and built to last.